Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Yolanda, and as you've seen, it's called Yolanda's Digital Diary, YD squared. Very corny, I know. It'll probably change, I don't know, but I thought it was very cool and catchy, so we'll stick with that for now. As y'all can see, the lighting is better, everything's better, really. So I thought this would be like the reloaded version of me starting out or trying this whole YouTube vlogging journey. And I am really nervous. It's very odd. I don't know why, because I actually am with a friend, a very good friend of mine. But it is scary, man. This thing's very professional. If you want these likes, these subscribers, comments, everything that is looking good, obviously a person has to take themselves seriously. But really, for those who don't know, Yolanda's Digital Diary is aimed at just giving people at home who do follow me across my social media platforms that I am eFriends with, on Facebook and Twitter. Although my Twitter account is currently suspended. It's been suspended for a couple of weeks, probably like months now, like 3 months. I don't know why. I have my suspicions, I have my conspiracy theories, but I won't get into that right now. But really, this series, which I've kind of designed for it to be a kind of 4 to 5 part short series, just reflecting on the year. We'll just look at my life and how I've evolved as a Black radical feminist activist, who's really on a path of self-discovery and emancipation from all the challenges that I speak about and all the challenges that I've documented on the public platforms that I engage on. It's just really from my time being a student at Rhodes, my exclusion, and how I'm really just navigating life right now as a young adult who is 23, currently living in the CBD in Johannesburg, and too many arms. But really, this is meant to just be a short series kind of thing, where I'll be talking about different topics pertaining to my life and my politics, my activism, and how I've really just survived COVID-19. There's nothing spectacular about it but me, of course, and I really do hope you guys at home do enjoy the content and what I have to share with you. I'm looking at notes, not just, I don't want to leave anything out, and I really will just be speaking about my life, how it has unfolded, as I've said, and hope you enjoy. So as you guys have seen from the clickbait, this episode I will be just reflecting briefly on some of my highlights of 2020 and what this year has offered me. One of the things that have happened to me, I think, that I've been really grateful for right at the beginning of the year, and I moved without a plan. Like, I just had a short-term plan for 1 month. I knew that I'd be able to pay rent for just a month, and then the rest I'm gonna leave it to the universe and leave it to God. Was moving from my previous place that I'd shared with 2 other Black women whom I'm really grateful that my paths and our paths crossed. Living with people can be very difficult, honest to God. Living with other women can be really difficult. I never lived with I never had to share my space post high school, post me leaving home, where I was just living in a little back room with my grandmother. That was the only person I actually really shared my most immediate intimate space with for a very long time. Then I moved to Rhodes, where I was living on campus, and I was fortunate enough to move into a residence, a res that was built and was quite new, and we were given our own rooms. There was no sharing in that house called Margaret Smith House. So in any case, and then moved out, came back. I got excluded. Wow. Went back home, lived with my mom. That was a journey and a half of its own, and I was in and out of home until I eventually just moved out. And I thought, I shared my space with two young Black women who are feminist activists, and it was a learning experience. It really was great when it was great. It was difficult when it was difficult. But moving out for me, it really just signified me just marking my own soul independence without having to pay or rely on having my bills met halfway by somebody else. That I could actually, I'm taking on the responsibility by myself to pay for my accommodation. And I also didn't really have much of a choice as well, because one of the women is now a member of parliament, so she moved sporadically. It was elections in May, and then her life changed also, for the better, of course. And so she obviously had to move out, and then I got a second housemate who stayed until the end of the year, but was also a student. So then she had to move back home at the end of the year, and I was really not trying to live there any longer. It was a 2-bedroom apartment. It was really dirty. It was decent, but like it's just change of everything, guys. Just change of scenery completely, and wanting my own space. And so I moved out at the end of February in this year, and I got my own place in March. The 1st of March I moved in this tiny little studio apartment, and that for me was really really big. So I'm really grateful for that I was able to pay my rent throughout this year, as much as it's been a roller coaster. I mean, with unemployment, I am self-employed. I am very much unemployed, and with the lockdown, with funding being more scarce, with just gigs being very limited to literally not being no work at all, like companies are shut down, and a person really has to hustle, because that's not savings. Abanye too, like, how do you save when you're basically living from hand to mouth also? And so it was just kind of navigating those challenges and raising funds and doing little odd jobs and really trying to push myself and put myself out there, through the use of the internet, the digital space. Thank God, I have my laptop, I had internet, and those are also just like little things that I'm grateful for, to have had at my disposal, particularly with the work that I am doing and interested in further expanding. That I had those certain tools that allowed me to stay active and online and engaged with people that I needed to engage with, which is not a reality of a lot of people in our country. We know this. We just know this, and so I really am grateful to my ancestors for holding me through. I won't really get into some of the difficult parts right now, because clickbait is highlights. So I'm really reflecting. I'm trying to be positive. I'm trying to channel all of these great chakras and really be grateful, for the year that I've had amongst the very hectic challenges that I'll speak about perhaps in the next video. Another thing was that when I moved in, then the lockdown happened. I was waiting for an application. There's a project that I was busy with. It's a book that I want to publish. It's a collaboration, really, amongst other Black radical feminist activists, people who are gender non-conforming, who are Black women, who are transgender, people across the LGBTQI community. Really, it's a book for everyone except cis-het men. And it's titled African Feminist Solidarities, and the whole idea is that it's an ethnography. Essentially, that means it's a compilation of different stories written by different authors, put together under this theme that we all come together and we wrote about a specific theme, in this case being African feminist solidarity, and what solidarity has meant to us and continues to mean to us as these said individuals. And so I applied for a grant for that, and I really received that. And also, I was really in a difficult place, because Archive Amabaliwetu was also going through some of its own developmental challenges. Archive Amabaliwetu being my organization that I am now single-handedly operating, running, trying to grow, all of those things. Yes, life happens, departure of the two women that I was working with, a lot of changes really that had happened, and I was just left alone, and I was trying to figure this whole thing out, because I am very much unemployable, and hence I am very much unemployed, is because no one wants to employ me. I'm fortunate enough to have worked with certain brands and companies to date, but it's been difficult because I'm unemployable because I don't have a degree. I have no qualification other than the skills that I've managed to gather across over the past couple of years. And so this really is my bread. And when I got this grant, it was really such an affirming moment for me to be like, oh wow, I can actually do this. It gave me a bit of hope. And of course, I'm really grateful that I met and across paths with Lesego Masekare. She's another Black woman, and I shared a panel I shared a panel discussion. I was amongst the panel discussion, or participating rather, in a discussion with the likes of Tando Hopa. Lesotho was really one of those women who kind of gave me that also in that platform. It was right in the beginning of 2018, it like February or so. I was at home, unemployed, hungry, and trying to I just didn't know what was happening with my life, and it was really exciting to just be out there again and to be given that platform to kind of speak and share my story. And so I worked with her she helped me a great deal with the application for this book project. But yeah, the money is there. It was there. It was a small bit of funding, so the project is currently on hold, which I am really trying to get rolling again next year. At least we need to publish, because we have the submissions, and I'm really grateful for the people who sent in their submissions. As an organization, we're also very grateful. But yes, receiving a grant was one of my highlights of the year. And then August 9th, I get invited by the Economic Freedom Fighters, the EFF, to be a guest speaker at their National Women's Day rally, their virtual rally that was hosted at, guys, listen, at my icon, this woman who, she's like the second woman whom I look up to, right next to my grandmother. I was invited to speak at her burial site, Mamwini Madikizela Mandela, and it was a big moment for me. I was really honored, and also it was just so sacred, I feel, because it was at a burial site, and it was just like this, it was not really somber, but just sacred is the word I could use. Grave site was literally right next to the podium, and this is being streamed live, and I'm speaking to an audience of about 50 people, obviously because COVID regulations. And yeah, no man, I was just like, wow, Yolanda, this is you presently in 2020. So I really take that moment in, and we got to lay roses on her grave, and the late Zinzi Mandela's grave as well. So it was quite a big thing for me. I think that's how I spent my Women's Day, my 9th of August, honoring not only these great giants who have passed, but also just being in that space and not, I don't know, doing anything else but doing that. And I think I wouldn't have asked for a better Women's Day celebration, I think. So I was really honored. Then after that, in my campaign, of course, I'm still excluded. I'm still fighting for my freedom. I'm fighting for justice with, reality again. And that was my upcoming leave to appeal case. So in December 2019, on the 4th of December, we had put forward a review application on my exclusion at Rose University, of which was thrown out. That review application was denied, it was unsuccessful, it was thrown out of court, and then we obviously then applied for a leave to appeal, which was granted. And I think it was the 7th of September. It was the 7th of September. But I could be wrong, because so much has happened this year. But it was the 7th of September, and we went to the High Court, the Grahamstown High Court, and we appeared before the very same judge who denied me the review application in December. And then we were again pleading our case, essentially just saying that I should be given the right to lead my defense. Really, that's been the argument. And that my exclusion was unfair. And there was a lot of bias obviously involved. As we laid down the legal argument, the same one, nothing much had changed from our review application. And we were saying we want to go to the Supreme Court, essentially. We're asking for permission from the High Court to say we want to go to the Supreme Court, because this judge Zamani, led defense here, she's clearly not hearing me out. And so, we were granted the leave to appeal, which was really... So, in fact, the 7th happened, and then he wanted to hear give Rhodes a further chance to elaborate on their argument, their defense, and, they were given that. And there was a lot of drama that unfolded, It's a public hearing, and the assumption is that members of the public are allowed to come in and hear and listen and watch, the case or the trial, whatever happens, unfold. But then, this was not stated that members of the public are not allowed. So I shared the link because I'm transparent and I want y'all to actually kind of see for yourselves what, you know, I mean when I speak about maybe white monopoly capital. You know, when you see patriarchy, like white men literally heads together ganging up on this black woman, and they are so convinced that they have a case, and they're so convinced that what they're arguing for makes sense, and that it's ethical and it's legal. It's just they are fighting tooth and nail to say that I deserved to get, you know, get given a lifetime exclusion. At the same time, you're not even fighting twice as much when people are getting raped on campus. Like, that's just my thing. Like, you're investing so much, but that's not even the point. It's just I wanted people to participate and see for themselves and hear for themselves what it is that we were arguing, and what Rhodes was also saying, and what, you know, the truth of the matter really is on record, as everyone is entitled to doing so, and, you know, and everyone is entitled to having that information. So then that became a whole saga. Rhodes was like, I am, what is this? Islum, guys, I'll find the word and I'll put it literally across the screen, and I'll even try to pronounce it, but for now I'm denying. And it caused a bit of a delay because we just wanted to hear the argument and not actually now argue a new matter that they've, a point of order, whatever that they've risen, really, that is like, oh, people shouldn't be allowed in the courtroom. And there's a lot of drama that unfolded, but the great part about this whole thing, for those who really have watched it unfold and who did watch it unfold, and both through my tweeting, through posting on Facebook, through even really being part of the court session itself, would know that, you know, we won. We are going to the Supreme Court of Appeal, the highest court in the land, and hopefully when we get there, you know, then give me the opportunity to lead my evidence, give me the opportunity to cross-examine your evidence, you know. That's just it. Like, why was I excluded and I did not testify? All of the things that you're saying are not true, and that's all we've been saying. So, but in any case, that happened. So it was a really high moment for me, because then, you know, it was trending, and I remember even the hashtag stand with Yolanda, and right now with everything that is happening with COVID, I wouldn't want it to also drown out. And you know, I was just telling them that I have an idea, this is what I want to do, and I was bouncing it off with them. You know, obviously, you know, there's legal matters, what you can and cannot say, which really what hasn't been that difficult for me, because I can't see you guys. And then yes, Sis Nomzamo, who's now the CEO who's the executive director, the language, correct me, who's the executive director of SERI, the Socio-Economic Rights Institute of South Africa, which is the law firm that is representing me. She then said, yeah, how's about, you know, something like, she just threw it out, like, stand with Yolanda. And you're like, yes, that's the one, Sissy, that's the one. It's like, Tatan. The hashtag stand with Yolanda, and then by Lord, you know, I wasn't too sure about it. They say stand with me, but it's like people really stood with me, and it was like genuinely just believe in the fact that people will stand with you, and that was just that moment. But in any case, and then we were granted the leave to appeal. So that was really great. And I was just so overwhelmed with the public support that I received from, you know, people from Rhodes who've, you know, followed the case, who followed my case, really, because it was an incident that affected everybody. You know, these charges, this whole thing arises from the fact that we were protesting against rape culture on the 16th of April, on the 17th of April, 2016. Yeah. So we were protesting against rape culture, and it was in our second year. And so that happened, and all these years later, you know, a person is still dealing with, I guess, the consequences of kind of breaking the silence, rising above all of those revolutionary things that we did as a movement, as young students in 2016, 2017, and I'm just really grateful for the lecturers who've had my back thus far, and just ordinary South African citizens, particularly black women. I'm just so honored to be held by them, you know, the support that I've received, I did not even imagine that it could get me to the end of this year, because I have been able to pay my rent because of the support of you guys at home. And so I really am grateful. I really am. That has been a highlight for me, because since 2017 everything has just been like a fail, unsuccessful, been thrown out of court, and then it was just this one victory where we won. We finally got a win. You know, all these L's that a person has been catching, we finally got a win. And so I'm just trying to be hopeful, carry that spirit into the new year. And then there was the TEDx thing, guys. TEDx Little Women. I was a speaker there, and wow, you know, it's just like God coming through and just think, listen, I'm present, I'm here, I'm alive, I'm in your life, I'm with you, I walk with you. Just trust in yourself, push yourself a little bit, just a little bit harder, be vulnerable just a little bit more, you know. But essentially where I'm at with this video is just to say thank you first of all to everyone who has, you know, followed me, who has shared their message of support, who I've had, you know, short, long conversations with, physically, online, about everything that really matters to us as Black women, the struggles that we actually go through right now as young adults living in South Africa. I think it's just the whole thing. It's really bizarre, guys. We live in South Africa and we're Black women, you know. Can we actually contextualize that more and more and more and more? And that for me, you know, those conversations really mean a lot to me. People also showing their ways of holding each other, like in the most active way as possible, also is just really inspiring, not just towards me but to other people. Just how as women we tend to hold each other. I think I felt a lot of that this year, and if I ever was ungrateful or unappreciative, I kind of probably called myself back into order, and I still am trying to every now and again when I tend to feel like things are not working in my favor and that life is difficult. I remember that I'm not completely alone, you know, and that I could actually really have it much worse. I really could, you know. I've obviously faced my fair share of ordeals, the rapes, the physical, the sexual abuse, the poverty, the exclusions, you know, the poverty, really. But I have a community of people that I can, when push really comes to shove, I don't think I would be left with no one completely. So for me, 2020 has kind of just made me to be more appreciative, more grateful, more thankful, more positive, lighter, greener. And I hope to carry that spirit into the next year. Just, you know, things just need to be even better. But this is just the first installment of I'm thinking of calling this hashtag speaking through my healing or something cheesy like that. You know, Yolanda's digital diary, hashtag speaking through my healing. I don't know, but we will see how this goes, how this first take goes, and let me know also maybe if there's something you want to ask or I should speak about that I should add in. But it really will be like a 4 to 5 part series. And